Hi, welcome to my channel. Today I just briefly wanted to give you a first impression and review of the FeelFree Sea Emotion 505. This beautiful boat that you see here. And when I'm saying first impression, then it's because I have been spending a total of about 5 hours in this boat altogether. And it is the first sea kayak that I ever tried. So it's not that I'm able to give you a comparison to other kind of kayaks for the sea, be that also the composite versions. I only know about this one here, but I've done extensive kayaking in the past. If you follow my channel, you know I've done a lot of river kayaking in various hardshell kayaks, and I also got my beloved Aquaglide. But it is a first impression because I am, if you want to skip to the end result of this video, really thrilled about this kayak, and I'm so much in love with it. But I'll get back to that. Let's just take a look at what it is we have. If we're looking at the data of this kayak here, then it is, as the name indicates, 505 centimeters long, which equals to 16.5 feet. It is 55 pound heavy, which is 25 kilos, and it is 22 centimeters wide in the cockpit, and that equals to 56 centimeters. So it sits right there as, you could say, kind of a beginner sea kayak. It is the widest as you get it when you're getting into the more pro versions, and at 16.5 feet it is also a decent sea kayak, but it's still not as long as the 17-18 feet kayak you really can get really fast in. But I can tell you, this one really paddles like a dream. If we're taking it from the bow to the stern, then here in front we got some solid handles to carry and drag the boat. We got some nice deck lines here, solid, and we got some deck punching cords and some perimeter lines, as I wanted to say, perimeter lines. And we got hatches both in stern and bow, but we also got a snack hatch, as I used to call it, and we got what they probably call a day hatch. I have got myself a camera mount mounted here, but that's a special edition that I've done for myself. We got some good thigh braces here, and they sit very snug in, and the cockpit doesn't really give away when you're using them. We got a good seat. It is a molded seat, so there's no adjustments to that, but you do have a backrest that you can adjust to your fittings and likings. And though I really would have appreciated if the boat had had a more adjustable seat itself, I can tell you that the way they molded it and the foam they've done here is doing a good job. I have so far not had any issues, but as I said, I've been spending about grand total 5 hours in the boat, so I don't know really how it's going to hold up in terms of longer touring trips. The back of the seat here, we got a very limited amount of space, but we do have a little bit, so you can have some spare tools, maybe a bottle of water or what you want there. If we're looking inside of the kayak, then we got the pouch here, which is from the snack hatch, and further down you can see we got some foot pegs, so we can get some good contact and support with the boat, and we also got the steering for the rudder. The cables are running up here. Looking further back, we got a tie down point if you want to do some rescuing of things. We have got our skeg that we can pull, and our rudder we can pull and release, and on the other side we've got the skeg that comes down, and it is a really big skeg. It's a good deep one, will create a lot of stability for you and a very good directional stability in specific. Day hatch, and we got the big back hatch here, and when we come further down we have got a good solid handle again to carry it, the boat, and then finally we got our rudder. Now I want to get a little bit more into the hatches here, because if you followed my channel, you know that I've been doing some kayaking recently in the Aventura 140, and I was thoroughly impressed about the capacity of the boat in terms of luggage. I have yet to test this out, whether it really can do it. I've done some dry training a little bit, and I'm not totally impressed, but I still got to figure out how to do it. But one thing that I never knew before I bought the kayak was that if you look here at the stern, then we got the big rubber hatch here, and that's a huge holder. You can stuff a lot of things into it. But if you look down here, then because of the skeg, we do get a limited amount of space we really can use properly, and it's also fairly shallow. So the amount of luggage I can have here is a bit disappointing, to be honest. But what surprised me was that if you're looking at the day hatch here, also with a rubber compartment, then we got this pouch in the middle of it. We just pull it out, and I suppose there was a couple of liters worth of luggage space here. But then in here you got a lot of space for now I got some food things in here, but you got the separate compartment. Basically the back compartment is up to here, and then we got this compartment here, which is the deepest one, and in turn it is actually the space where you would be able to store bigger bags, but you only got this small hole to fill it in with. So it's a bit of a weird combination. I would much rather have this hole being small and this one being big, but I know the way the kayak is built, it couldn't be that way. So I've got some solid height in this compartment and a solid width, and I could have put a lot of bigger things like tents and hammocks and stuff in there, but it's not really that easy with a small hole like this. So without knowing for sure how I'm going to do it in real life, I am suspecting this is going to be my compartment for all my food, and water, which is going to be more easy to shovel down a small hole. I like the pouches here, like we also have in the snack hatch, because it isolates a few things that you might get need of, like in this case sunscreen, which I actually might have had in my front compartment depending on the room, like that. Hatches here, they are all attached with some cord here, and there is a feature on the back here where you can actually latch it on here and then have it attached inside of the cockpit, inside the compartment, so that you don't have the cord being around here on the outside if you want it more tidy. Now, if I got a comment on the hatches here, then I'm quite sure that they are more tight than my experiences has been with the Aventura 125 and the 140, where we do have some issues with some leaks. So I like these rubber hatches, and also like that they are fairly easy to open up and fairly easy to close. But obviously the downside is, how easy do they pop out? Is there a higher risk of them to fall off if I do a roll and some of the luggage pushes on it? I have to see what happens there. I'm not so nervous about the smaller ones here because there's so little that can touch onto it, but this here is a different story. But one thing that I do notice, and I don't know if it's notorically the way it is for all the Sea Emotion kayaks, the front hatch here is extremely tight. I cannot open it up when I'm all fresh and not exhausted, just using my hands. I tried to use the cord that was attached to it, and eventually this eyelet here broke on me, but it is so tight I can't do it. So now what I'm doing is I have this little cordage here still inside of it, and by using that and pulling out on it, I can then pry my fingers down, and I can then open it up. Don't want to do it now because then I got to put it back on again, and that's also a hassle. But is it good? Is it bad? Well, I like easy access to my things, but I also know that the front hatch is there where you gotta get the most water coming over when you're paddling, you're hitting waves or whatever is coming at you. So you really want that one to be tight. You don't want it to be something that pops off easily. So if it's deliberate that hat is also so tight, I don't know. But it is, and it has its upsides and has its downsides. So yeah, there you have it, guys. It is the Sea Emotion 505, and as I said, I love it. Until I got to try this one out, I was doing kayaking in 25 inches, 26 inches wide cockpit boats, and much shorter, obviously. We're talking 12 feet something. And they were good. I mean, they were good, very good for the purpose of what I was using it. It was in rapids and in rivers and fast flowing water. Absolutely loved it. But as I think one of the channels says, Dancing with the Sea, he said once, a good kayak is not a kayak that you sit in. A good kayak is one that you get dressed in. And I never really understood those words, although it was kind of a, well, nice way of saying things. But right until the moment I got into this kayak here, when I got into that, I understood what he meant about being dressed in a kayak. In this kayak here, you're really in good contact. And I just loved it. I just love it. I want to show you some pictures of it later on. I obviously want to go paddling with it, and then you get to enjoy the view of this kayak when it's in real action as well. But for now, I just wanted to share with you this beauty, because this is the first kayak that ever blew me away. As I said, I've been in the Jackson Karma Traverse and the Jackson RG. I have been in the Atlantis 14 from FeelFree. I have been in the Aventura 125 and the Aventura 140, and they all, for the intended purpose, were very good at what they did. Altogether, overall, I was very happy with them, but none of them did what this boat did to me. It really blew me away. It was so fantastic, and just kind of goes without saying, because I was only trying this one for about an hour and a half down in Ranong after our last big kayaking trip, and it took me a couple of weeks, and then I just ordered it. I just had to have this kayak. So there you are, guys. I hope you can use it for something, and until next time, stay curious.